Hello everyone and welcome to the next video on this channel. My name is Peps and I welcome you to another G1 Climax review. This time we have day 2 of this year's G1 Climax. And before we head into reviewing this G1 day, I would first of all say thank you for the support on the first review for day 1. A lot of cool comments that I got via DM, in the comments itself, as well as the likes, of course, were phenomenal, like 25 likes or something. Really happy about that. So if you want to support me in any way, my Twitter's linked in the description, as well as just like and comment the video if it's about, I don't know, critics or what I can do better, what I should do outside of these G1 reviews. Just let me know, you know how to reach me. That being said, I would just jump right into the G1 Climax because I have 4 exams coming up, so I kind of need to rush everything, but we will make it work. I'm still here to try to review all 90 shows, and I would just say we jump straight right into it. And the G1 opened with a bit of a sad news in day 2. We were once again around the same attendance as last night, 2,500. It's a solid number, still down from the years prior, but that's mainly because of no Tetsuya Naito as well as Hiroki Goto dropping the belt. And with the injury of Hiroki Goto, of course, we had Taichi coming in. But it seems like the injury of Hiroki Goto is not the only one in the G1. With Gabe Kidd theme starting to play at the beginning of the show, him coming out with crutches and his knee taped up. And he announced that he's forfeiting today's G1 Climax main event match against Zack Sabre Jr. due to a knee hyperflexion. He added that the moment he can go again, he wants to wrestle in G1 again. So it seems like it will be a night-to-night case. And while it's unsure whether he's going to wrestle at all or whether he's going to skip a few nights and then come back, or maybe just skips this night, I imagine that they decided to give him this night off because, first of all, the tickets were sold, and second of all, he was likely losing a match. So if he loses via wrestling or just via forfeiting, it doesn't really matter too much. If he can take a break instead and maybe be ready for Wednesday against Shingo Takagi, because that would be an interesting match in terms of like the kayfabe perspective for both. I would imagine that is the goal they're trying to get to. Will it happen? I don't know. I would imagine if they really want him back, and if he really wants to come back, he will wrestle again next weekend at the latest. Regardless how you feel about Gabe Kidd as a character or as a wrestler, someone getting derailed from his G1 Climax run always sucks to see for me personally. Like, this is the biggest tournament in Japan. The most important thing in the year for a lot of these wrestlers, especially for Gabe Kidd, who takes a lot of pride in himself, what he does in the ring, who he represents and everything. So seeing him coming out and really just, you see in his face that he was actually sad that he needed to skip out on this night. And I can totally get him. Of course you want to wrestle every single night at G1 Climax. This is the thing a lot of people worked for years for to get into this tournament. So seeing him just forfeiting at least one match with that potentially completely overthrowing the booking always sucks to see. On the schedule side, today's main event instead was Taichi versus Yuya Uemura in an A-block match. So once again, a Taichi hometown match. We will come to that at the end of the video. After Hiroshi Tanahashi closed last night with a promo after his win over Taichi, he opens up the tournament action on day 2 in an A-block match against Callum Newman. It was a really tough spot for both of these wrestlers as they were following Gabe Kidd's announcement. And of course, when a crowd is already deflated, we have seen that in a more extreme case with Adam Cole at AEW All In. They will always have a tough match instantly after to get the crowd hooked, to get the crowd involved. They did personally fine enough. They had a very simple build with Tanahashi trying to stop Callum Newman's agility and quickness by going for the lag of Callum to take the momentum out of his moves. And Newman sold it okay, in my opinion. While he sold it well when building up to his moves and in the breaks where he always grabbed his leg again and sold the pain, he forgot totally about it, especially while he was kicking. When he just kicked Tanahashi, he just totally forgot about his pain, as well as when he was just running. And that took me kind of out of this match. I think this is one of his biggest weaknesses still is just the selling. And since a lot of his offense is built around his legs, I think that is something he still needs to figure out, really. And for that, the G1 is like perfect, in my opinion. Some see the G1 as, okay, you can't really need to improve there, but you just need to hit bangers. In my opinion, the tournaments, maybe that is because of what I love to Joshi wrestling, and especially in 5-star, they used in Stardom, that is, they used the tournament to give the young talents a lot of reps. I think I feel similar about the G1 for these young talents, that they still need to get the reps in, and that is like the perfect opportunity for someone like Callum Newman to get better in its specific part of his game. Like, I'm totally okay with, and I've said it before, I'm totally okay with having weaker matches if that means someone learns from it and has a better match later on in his career, than rather having really boring, great matches that I've seen 25 times for the same pair. But that is just me personally, with how I feel about New Japan League. In the end, Callum Newman then still wins the match, and he goes 1-1 in the opening night, 1 loss, 1 win. Same for Hiroshi Tanahashi. We know it, right? There will be a lot of parity booking in New Japan, sadly, these days, where I would expect at least everyone finishing with 8 points or higher, which kind of like, takes a bit of interest out of these undercard matches, because a lot of these undercard matches live from, okay, can they finally score points or not? It seems like we will get the best of the opportunity situation where a lot of people have the same points. The first B-block match of the night was Jula Maloney against Shota Umino. After I criticized the match layout of Jula Maloney versus Great Okan last night, they were more of a Okan match, and I said, okay, maybe a Jula match would be better. Here against Shota Umino, they worked the Jula Maloney match with the strikes, with everything, but it still didn't feel really compelling. The elbows of both, especially Jula's elbows, are really bad. Umino is very good either. I think he had good elbows before. Here he didn't really show his best effort. Like, there were a lot of bad strikes, bad slaps, and there was a moment where they offered each other to slap. Like, they put the hands behind so the other can slap to show fighting spirit, and it came off just lame, and no one in the crowd really cared about it at all. Like, it was just a nothing match, in my opinion. A really boring outing for both. And after I didn't like either's match last night, I expected a bit more from them. Sadly, I think that this will be the thing for Jula Maloney. He had this great match against Tomohiro Ishii to qualify for the G1, but I sadly feel like this will be the peak of his run, because I don't really see that much if he performs like that for him in terms of like great matches. Maybe against Gabe Kidd, but if he's Gabe Kidd out and he only has like Takesha left and maybe Shingo that can go his style, and he maybe gets a few minutes with them. Meanwhile, Umino is just a question mark for me. I do not know who this Shota Umino is supposed to be for. He walks around like Shinsei Shinzaki, and his idea of showing fighters randomly going, oh, and this typical fighting spirit scream, it just comes up unauthentic. And I've opened up the topic more than enough on my Twitter. I think 1,000 other podcasters have opened it up enough that I don't need to go over, okay, what is wrong with Shota Umino's character and everything. I still think there's some solid to good performances here and there. But the truth about this is, at this point, and that is just it, until he proves myself and proves me and everyone else in the audience or you at home otherwise, we need to stop the cope. This is just not the guy right now. He is not the guy. I think every single young guy in this tournament so far had a better match than him. And Callum Newman faced Evil and Hiroshi Tanahashi, which are maybe two of the weaker ones in like undercard matches to work with. Tanahashi is fantastic in these main event situations, but I don't think he's like the best working partner to work in like 10-minute undercard matches right now in his state. And evil is just evil. And even he had a better match with Tanahashi than Shota Umino had with Jula, Maloney, and Elantasma. And, I don't know what I'm supposed to say about Shota Umino. In the end, Jula Maloney won the match with the Jula Killer, goes 2-0. Shota Umino stays 1 win, and now Edzo lost to his name. Yeah, the undercards of the B block will be very long, and I'm surprised that people rated this block so highly, because Jesus Christ, there are some names in it that are just not good these days. But luckily for us, we have the A block to come save us again, and it's once more bars time. Bolton Oleg faces Ryohei Oiwa in a straight-up good match. Nothing more, nothing less, but it was compelling and exactly what you want on these undercard positions of a G1 Climax show. Good, freakish counters all the time, simply good wrestling, and that is the most important part, because we have a lot of boring matches these days in New Japan or wrestling in general, and having something just being straight up good is always important. Bolton won the match after freakish counter out of the grip into the kamikaze, where he just press him up, then put him on the shoulders, hit the kamikaze, pinned him, and with that, both are now also 1-1. So we have, of course, our 50-50 booking here again. And I've sent my pieces on Oiwa last night, and I think I can just repeat that again here. I think he did good. He needs something. I don't know what it is. I think he will figure it out over the tournament, because he has good matches right now, and that's the most important thing. Bolton, meanwhile, I think it's time to put him into the conversation of future top guys. He gets always left out, and okay, who's the former future world champion in New Japan? And I generally think that he is much better than people rate him. Of course, he had the fantastic Takeshita matches that people praised highly, but it's Takeshita, right? And the truth is, I've seen a lot of guys having great matches with Takeshita. Elantasma is one of them, for example, and I don't like Elantasma matches these days. But Bolton is someone that has something to him that no one else in this roster has. He comes off like a freak of nature, and he presents himself so well, and he's developing nicely right in front of our eyes. I think after this Never title run, it might be time for him to move up the card into a position that would interest me more, like towards the global, if not even the world title. Then we had the B block match. Renorita, after he shockingly upset Zack Sabre Jr. last night, he is facing Hashi, who got a big win over Shingo Takagi in the B block. So we have the two spoilers of the B block from day one facing off. And this started with Renorita just attacking Hashi right after the gate from behind, throwing him into the chairs, into the guardrails before the match even started. Then, of course, Renorita rolled him into the ring. The match started, and Hashi instantly caught Renorita off guard, went for his finish, but Renorita blocked the referee to hit the low row around 30 seconds in. And that was like the moment I noticed, okay, this will not go long. And I have the feeling this will be like Hashi's role, that he will have a cool 2 to 3 minute match, run it home, and give everyone an off night. And here it was exactly that. Renorita shortly after went for another low blow, but this time Hashi saw it coming, blocked it, and used the momentum to roll up Renorita to a free count. And the pop he got was tremendous. Like, that was the loudest reaction all show for result. Maybe even all 2 shows for result, and it was deserved. Hashi kicks off the tournament with 2-0 record, and that is the Go-To Revolution. If we don't have Go-To to have the Go-To Revolution, we have the Hashi Revolution. Now, jokes aside, I think Hashi will have a kind of Taguchi run in that he had the best of Super Juniors. I think he started like 3-1, Taguchi that is. And then he lost out every single match after. And I think it will be very similar with Hashi. Maybe he gets like 2 more wins and he finishes off at 8. But I expect him to start a losing streak soon. And I think the losing streak could start with the next show because he faces Jula Maloney there. Both are 2-0 in the G1, which means either Jula Maloney or Yoshi Hashi will be 3-0 after the first 3 matches, which is hilarious in my opinion. I think it will be Jula because they want to make the Jula Killer a dangerous finisher, and I think Yoshihashi being like the last one before the streak falls of Jula Maloney would be cool for Jula, because I don't think Jula makes it through to the playoffs stage, but I think he will be very close to it, and I think he will get one last big win before that. From one House of Torture match to the other, we have in an A block Sonata facing off against the man that he originally turned to when he betrayed Just Five Guys in November, David Finlay. And first of all, I want to say, everyone that criticizes Sonata's dressing style is just jealous that he will never look as cool as him. He is a goddamn disco ball. Like, how can you look so cool? I want to be a disco ball. Like, if anyone wants to buy me this outfit, please send it me via DM. I want to look as shiny as him. Like, now, jokes aside, I love the Sonata presentation because it's like so silly and it looks so stupid that it's fantastic. Like, you gotta imagine, right? This guy walks out looking like a goddamn disco ball with his Jeff Jarrett guitar next to him. It's fantastic. For the match itself, the opening sequence was so good. I was surprised how good it was. Like, they had good exchanges, arm drag exchanges and everything, and then Finlay counters out of nowhere into the backbreaker, and it was such a good looking backbreaker. It was like, damn, and I was a bit excited from that moment from the match, and I thought, okay, maybe I'm investing myself too much in this and they will completely fame it. But no, this match was legit good. It had so many cool details that I loved about it, especially at the beginning where Sonata noticed, okay, Finlay is getting the control of the match, so he faked a knee injury. And that's kind of funny considering like Gabe just got hurt and has an hyperflexion in his knee. So doing that like in front of Gabe Kidd's leader is like really funny. Like, I laughed about that, and he used that to control the match, and which was like even better. Like, he attacked Finlay from behind when he wasn't really paying attention, threw him into the guardrail, and I need to say this, right? Finlay just puts his entire life into every single bump. This man loves this game so much. This man loves wrestling so much, and I love him even more for that. He made Sonata look really good here. He bumped for him like crazy once again while still looking good himself. And I can just repeat that guy, like David Finlay, is so awesome. And people are finally seeing that. I'm glad about it. And the counter sequences in this match mix with Sonata being more ruthless rock. Like, for example, there was a sequence where just Sonata randomly went for Ghetto Spear, and I started laughing at that because he used that as a distraction to attack Finlay even more and all of that. And the Ghetto violence, that's how I call it, to set up the guitar spot. When Sonata wants to hit the guitar, but Finlay hits one hell of a spear. Finlay finally has a better spear than Jula Maloney, who makes it one of his really more important moves, funny enough. That was really cool done. Same for the Into Oblivion attempt from Sonata that was countered right into the Skull and then in the Shining Wizard. I think they have Sonata and Finlay that have fantastic chemistry in the ring. The counter sequences were really well done from the very beginning to the end, with the finish especially, where Sonata teased to go for the overkill, but Finlay countered it, went for the deadfall. Sonata wants to get ducked it, but then Finlay caught him right into the overkill, and that was just great. A great finish. Finlay goes over, 1-1 for him. Sonata, the only guy in the A block without a win, 0-2. This was legitimately great. If you want to see a more extended version of that match, I think they had another thing. I know they had a great IWGP Global Heavyweight title match at New Japan Seoul last year in this exact venue, which was around end of June, beginning of July 2024. that was a really great match. Like, they have good chemistry and they showed it over and over again. For me, in my opinion, Sonata's, as of right now, the surprise of the tournament. I expected a lot of dull House of Torture bullshit, but instead he really works well. He is a upgraded version of himself in terms of his strategy, his ruthlessness, but still has the glimpse of big match Sonata, and I love big match Sonata. I've said it before. So, I can't really complain about this. I thought this was legitimately a really good singles match between those two. And for me, maybe a top 5 match of tournament so far? Could be. Moving on to the next match, B block, we had Shingo Takagi versus Great Okan. And to be fair, I need to say this, I'm writing notes for these matches to be able to really how I feel about this without forgetting anything. And I watched this match and thought, okay, that was just like a really good worked wrestling match with good counters, a crowd especially cared for them, but it had no lasting impression for me. I thought it was a really good match, but I have like nothing I can really say about this. And I don't even mean this to say, okay, this was just mid, but rather it's just good. Like, sometimes you have just matches that are good, and Shingo and Great Okan were really that. In the end, Great Okan wins with the Dominator, which makes Takagi start with an 0-2 record. Kind of shocking, considering how he was like in the Dominion main event in Osaka Johol like last month against Hiroki Goto. Meanwhile, of course, Great Okan goes 1-1, 50-50 booking. And what I want to say especially about this match is it's really funny. When you follow Great Okan matches after some time, you see a pattern with his performances, his quality of matches, aligning with when he's winning or not. Like, I knew the moment this was starting to get good that Great Okan is winning the match. You like, if you haven't realized that, notice next time when he wrestles, how he's wrestling, how motivated he feels, and how good the match is. When the match is good and he has a good opponent and it's good, 9 out of 10 times he's winning the match. When the match is dragging or it feels like, okay, Great Okan is just stomping over him and working over his opponent, and you notice slowly, okay, he's just losing. That is the Great Okan formula. And it sucks because I think Great Okan, when he wants to be great, is an actual good wrestler that you need in a New Japan roster is like this mid-carder. When Great Okan is wrestling like he is in a Jula Maloney match, which happens sadly more often than not, and just does his stuff and runs the match home, who really needs in Great Okan? Like, that is the whole thing about Great Okan, sadly, that when you when you want him to be good, he is good, and then he stops being good. That was the issue with me for him last year, where he had this great G1 Climax run. The Great Okan is going on a run meme was going crazy. He made it into the playoff, lost there to Shingo Takagi, in my opinion, a really good match, and then he had this title match against Tetsuya Naito for the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship that was just mid. And every momentum that he had was just gone because he started to phone in again for some reason. And I was so annoyed by it because this guy, I don't know what it is, what doesn't motivate him or what should motivate him, because it should be more than just, okay, I'm winning or I'm not. But I feel like he's missing out on something here. And then we are heading into the final 3 matches of this show. And we start off with an A-block match, Evil against Yota Tsuji. And to be honest, this was just the typical Evil bullshit that you would expect. Like, everyone else in this tournament either has stepped up the game, or I just don't click with them, but they are trying the best, like an Elantasma, for example. I'm sorry for the random Elantasma shows all the time. But Evil, in my opinion, is like actively the only wrestler in this entire tournament that got worse. Because you now have not only Dick Togo interfering, but also Don Fale. And I said yesterday, during the day 1 preview, that I think his tournament will be bad. And I don't think he will have a good match. Well, shocking news. I think this was a good match. Well, maybe it's good, a bit of an over-exaggeration, but I think it was a solid to good match. Because the interferences and the bullshit is Evil's kind of strength these days as a heel, because when he starts to limp work and starts to get into control, into submission, I think he's very boring and not interesting enough for me to get me hooked. But when he just does bullshit and it's just entertaining. Here, like, you had Don Fale interfering, and it seemed like that just Evil was steamrolled for Taichi. And I thought, okay, this might go for a squash, or like a 5-minute match similar to the New Japan Cup match. But Daiki Nagai interfered quickly for Tsuji as they're both unaffiliated. That got a big pop for me as well as from the crowd when he was like standing there giving his thumbs up, and I loved a bit of that. Then Tsuji started to get into role, tried to take out Fale with a suicide dive, and Fale caught it perfectly. I was really surprised that he was able to do that. That was a great spot. And then, what I said, the limp work is just not for me, because then it went on from typical limp work for 2 or 3 minutes before Tsuji was rolled outside of the ring and Fale just stepped over him while carrying Dick Togo on his back. It's like so funny. Like this visual of just Dick Togo, this little small goblin, I'm sorry, being on the back of Fale, and they go over to just was just incredible to see. Then they fought on the stage with Evil hitting their suplex, and Yodatsuji then they did a count out tease, and Yodatsuji tried to get into the ring by 15, and he stood up, looked up, and said, like you saw there, how like bad luck Fale just standing in his way, just being bad luck Fale, right? And he's blocking his way, and Tsuji need to get around Don Fale to beat the count. He was barely able to do that because first he was stopped and then he just went under his through his legs. It was just funny to see. Like they had this match at various spots. It was like, what the fuck are they doing and why is this so cool? The back into the ring, the guy got involved. He accidentally hit a Gene Blast on Suji, and then Evil shortly after wins the match with the reverse Everything is Evil, kind of like a BFT. Like I said, this match was so silly that I just enjoyed it. I think this will not be for everyone, and I think if you don't like Evil bullshit matches, you should just not watch it, because it will not be for you. But if you're down to a bit of comedy mixed with Evil doing bullshit, it's maybe for you. For Evil getting the win, I think people may be a bit, why did that happen kind of situation here, because it's Evil. But personally, I kind of like it. Simply because people will now think Evil will go through. Spoiler alert, he will not. Meanwhile, Tsuji doesn't have the easy path that many expected him to get, and he still needs to win all of his big matches. I could still see him lose to Yuya in Sendai on Tuesday. Then maybe just win out everything other than the David Finlay match at the Kirk and Hall show. Meanwhile, Evil likely will just beat Sonata on the next show. That is the match I actually look forward to. I think they should, and I talked myself into that. I think they should do a We Are New Japan, We Are Shin Nihon parody match of the Gabe Kidd vs. Tsuji match in a similar form, but then turn into completely House of Torture bullshit and the match be a double count or something. That would be like my favorite way to do this match. Like 5 to 10 minutes of grappling and all of that, and then they do 2 to 3 minutes more of House Torture bullshit double count. That's how I would do that, but I think they will just do House Torture bullshit instead. Let's get into the semi-main event of the show. G1 Climax B-Block match, Elantasma versus Konosuke Takeshita. This is the third match between the two in 2025, and the fourth match award with the G1 Climax match last year that was hailed as one of the best tournament matches of the G1 last year. And in those fourth matches, the Elantasma is yet to beat Takeshita, and it's something New Japan has been really building up to as a big moment. And we will, spoiler alert, Elantasma won this match. We will talk about whether it was really felt like the big moment that they built up to. To the match itself, they know each other very well and picked up the pace early. Like there were multiple counters. And Elantasma even was able to hit the CR2, his finisher, 2 minutes in, but Takeshita rolled out when Elantasma went for the quick Thunder Kiss 86 attempt. Elantasma then tried to follow it up with the splash to the outside over the guardrail that he started to do after the Jeff Cobb feud for the New Japan Television title earlier this year. But Takeshita is the first one who countered it with a sick forearm and then hit a brutal brainbuster to the outside. The middle stretch after that was kind of whatever. Like, they just did stuff and it didn't really land for me. And they got into the finisher stretch, and that is when it got good. Takeshita countered the Thunder Kiss 86 into a brutal brainbuster, and that was the moment when the crowd really got into the match. They bought every near fall and so on. In general, like, Takeshi's counter were what really got me. The Chaos Theory out of a roll-up, for example, was tremendous, but also Elantasma had some cool counters, and he countered another Chaos Theory just in the roll-up itself. In the end, Elantasma got the big win over Takeshita after not only 2 CR2s, but also CR3, which is like the upgraded version of his CR2. And in his 4th try, he finally is able to beat Takeshita in a match that was, in my opinion, good, but it also had like some really annoying moments. Like, this match was meant to be this big moment for Elantasma, but it had surprisingly low chemistry, low energy for most of the match. Maybe this is just me being tired of this matchup because, like, this is the 3rd match in the last 2 months. But also, I thought that the crowd wasn't just there for everything until the very end of the match. Like, in comparison to Finlay and Sonata or others that had the crowd in through the very moment. They got a bit quieter in the middle stretch, but then got loud again. Here, it took them really long to get them into it at first at all. But I don't know why they weren't able to hook me in the crowd for the beginning, because like Takeshi was visibly trying to get the crowd involved, like tried to hype them up and everything. But maybe there's just a general issue with a lot of New Japan that you find out 2 wrestlers have a great match together and Geto just runs it to death. That happened with a matchup that really annoyed me that it happens so often. Shingo Takagi and Zack Sabre Jr. Like, their matches will always be good. But we have seen that match so often that you can only be that impressed by it. Like, they had 3 matches last year, I believe. In the G1, they had 2, and then, of course, a power struggle for the IWGP World title. And now in the G1, they will have another match. And I'm sure this will be good again, but, like, personally, this is like a thing I just can't bother too much about it when I've seen the exact same pay-per-view 249 times already. And that was the thing here as well. I also thought that the supposed to be always no selling and big kickouts just didn't feel natural to me personally, because I just couldn't bother about it too much. But I understand that in the sense of, okay, this is a big moment for the Elantasma, a lot of them make sense, but they just didn't land for me. Then we jump into the main event of the show. We have G1 Climax Block A, Taichi versus Yuya Uemura. It was the 2nd main event in a row for Taichi in Sapporo. A really cool story considering he was originally meant not to be in the G1 Climax in the first place. I think he always was, and they just made a story out of it, but that's another thing. This match was great. Like, this is, in my opinion, the best match of the tournament so far. Uemura worked great on top while Taichi was underneath at first, and he had a crowd behind him, but at one moment, the entire match shifted. The entire momentum of the match shifted. And that was when Uemura ran into the corner to attack Taichi, but Taichi clocked him with a kick. And Yuya instantly seemed a bit out of it. Like, he fantastically sold this kick by Taichi, and that changed the entire dynamic of the match. Like, at the very beginning, Uemura went for the arms, but this just kick and the Kawada kicks that followed it up, especially a brutal one that also nearly knocked out Yuya, changed like the entire game plan of Uemura as well as of Taichi. Taichi went more into the kicks, while Uemura noticed that just one kick can change the entire dynamic of the match. So he shifted his focus away to not only go for the arm, but also for the legs of Taichi to weaken the legs of him. I thought that was really cool, and it led to like the next 3 to 4 minutes of really good Olymp work. And that is when the match went to the phase where it just became fantastic. One great spot after another. Like, there was a spot nearly close to the end of the match where Taichi hit one hell of a lariat. And shortly after, they struggled again around the deadbolt suplex again. That is now something that Yuya seemingly will do often, that he will struggle his way to, okay, can he hit the deadbolt suplex or can he not? This time he wasn't able to get it done because Taichi, to escape the attempt, grabbed the tights of Uemura, and with that he had a better grip. And instead of Uemura hitting the deadbolt suplex, Taichi hit a really cool sumo move. I don't know how it's called, but I think it's a sumo move. Then followed up with a super kick, a forearm, and then the Black Mephisto to win the match in around 90 minutes in one hell of a main event match. In my opinion, the best of the tournament, as I said. And Uemura and Taichi are both 1-1. Taichi won the second main event. And this match had the heart and the soul you want from a G1 Climax main event. The match story, the selling, the fire in the eyes of the wrestlers, and all felt natural, earned, and great. Like, this is, my opinion, the difference between why I like this match so much compared to Takeshita versus Elantasma. Because Elantasma and Takeshita had a good match, but everything they did felt forced. Meanwhile, the struggle in Taichi and Uemura, everything, the fire, the moves that felt just more natural to me personally, and I was so hooked into that. So yeah, after the match, I had a really cool moment together with, of course, Taichi and Uemura being part of the just 4, whatever you want to call them, guys, back when they were still a thing. And Taichi cut a really emotional promo kind of edit, and Uemura will be the son of New Japan Pro Wrestling, but Taichi will always be the wall he needs to climb. And I think that's a cool thing to tell, especially since originally I think that Sonata was originally meant to be in that role, but Sonata's career shifted so much that you kind of needed to move away from it. And now Taichi will be that seemingly for Umura, and I think could lead to a bigger match down the line. Maybe for the global belt, maybe even for world title, but I wouldn't be against it because after this match, I need to see this match in a bigger spot again. The show then ended with Taichi playing the theme song of Just 5 Guys. Chris Charlton, of course, rapped over it, or sang over it, in typical Chris Charlton way. It was kind of silly, but that's Chris Charlton, right? Now, and they kind of ended the show there together. Go over once again to my beautiful stat sheet here. We can see that in the A block, we have Evil at the first position with 4 points. Then Bolton, Callum, David Finlay, Hiroshi, Tanahashi, Ryohei Oiwa, Taichi, Yoda Tsuchi, Yuya Uemura all tied second with 2 points. And then, of course, Sonata at the last place with 0 points. In the B block, we have Yoshi, Hashi, and Jula, Maloney. Out of all people, those are exactly the ones we should have guessed at the number 1 spot in the B block with 4 points and 2-0 record. And then you have Elantasma, Great Khan, Konosuke Takeshita, Renorita, Shota Umino, and Zack Sabre Jr. with 2 points at the 3rd spot. And then them with 0 points and 0-2 record. Gabe Kidd, who of course needed to forfeit his match today, and Shingo Takagi. For the match times, we have Taichi now as the Iron Man so far of the G1 Climax with 39 minutes and an average time of 20 minutes nearly, which is around 10 minutes more than the second one, which is Yuya Uemura and Konosuke Takeshita with around 30 minutes. At the bottom of the barrel, we have Yoshi Hashi with 6 minutes, an average of 3.06 minutes. So we can see with the time that the G1 in the B block of the G1 Climax gets more time. Of course, part of it is that they had one match more, and I would imagine if Gabe versus Zack had their match together, it would at least be at the similar length in terms of average length as well as combined length. To give my overall thoughts on the show, I thought it was a great show. Well, not great, a really good show. I thought it was also better than last night, because while I think that you still had your lows with Jula Maloney with Yuya Uemura, I think the highs were even higher. Like, you had, in my opinion, the best match of the tournament with Umura and Taichi. You had a really great one with Finlay and Sonata. Great Okan, Shingo Takagi had a cool one. I think Bolton and Oiwa had a fun one. Elantasma with Takeshita, while I didn't really like this match too much, they still put on the best effort, and I still also like Yoda Tsuchi vs. Evil. So, in combined, you had a good show. I would rate it similarly to the first night, maybe a bit better, but I don't know. I would need to think about it again. And with that, we are done with the second night of the G1 Climax action. The next show is on Tuesday. We have day 3, which is the first A-block only day in Sendai Sun Plaza. We have Kelemaneuver versus Hiroshi Oiwa, Hiroshi Tanahashi versus Bolton Oleg, Sonata versus Evil, David Finlay versus Taichi, and in the main event, Yuya Uemura versus Suji. A lot of cool matches. Some matches could be meh, but I think that is one of the better 8-block nights. I'm excited for Taichi versus David Finlay. I think this will be fantastic. And Suji Umura will show, or should show that they have the chemistry in them to be a top pairing, because they haven't so far. And I think this could be the chance to show that. And with that, thank you all for listening to the show again. We will see us on Tuesday. I will likely record a bit later on Tuesday because I have university until 7 p.m. and I need to go home then and watch the show, which will be very funny how I will be able to manage that. But we will see. Until then, bye-bye.